I love a Colorado morning. Good morning, world.
Welcome to Dwaejiland.
Welcome to Thursday Bitching Hour, where if it's on your mind, we'll get it off. It's like girl talk, chit chats, but whinier. Um, Hi. It's been a week. It is 7 a.m., so where I would rather that this was an alcoholic beverage, it is just sparkling water with Mio Energy because, again, it's 7 a.m. Hey, so today for Thursday Witching Hour, I just have a little bit of a rant about apartment complexes. Like, let me know if your apartment main office is like this. But for mine personally, my apartment complex has been the reason that I've wanted to move. But like space wise, with price wise, I really like my apartment, and I'm actually probably gonna end up staying here another 2 years. Like this current lease and then one more lease, so I can have time to like actually buckle down on my finances again. Because last year effed me up, as well as get a good amount saved so that I can move and like not just move to some poopy little back hole poopy to some shitty little back hole terrible apartment, or like have to get like a 500 square foot apartment because it's on my budget because I didn't save any fucking money. It's a thing. Baby girl likes to spend money. This year I'm going to try not to use my credit cards as often. That's gonna be a thing. I like to shop. That's a whole other tangent. It's just one of those things where it's like, dang, I am over this apartment complex. I am very ashy too. Much better. Okay, so I say all of that to say, like, I like Aurora because, especially the part that I'm in, I'm not super terribly far from downtown. Like, it's a reasonable drive to get there from where I live. But then I'm also reasonably close to, like, Cherry Creek Mall and, like, a couple other places that I really like to go. Mostly just H Mart, because baby girl likes Korean food and I like to cook. So I like going to H Mart, Pacific Ocean Market, like all that stuff. But it's just, I wanted to move because of this apartment complex, amongst other things. It's mostly just, well, okay, so when I first moved in, it was a gated community. And that's why I moved in, because it was my first ever apartment. I was living by myself. I was used to living in a house with like 5 other people. Mom, dad, brother, 3 other people. I was just living in a house with 3 other people. So, you know, like, there was all of us, dog, whatever, at the house. And so when I was first moving out, I was like really nervous to live by myself. I didn't want to live just anywhere. Like, my car is my child. So I was like, I don't want to live just anywhere. What if somebody breaks into my car, like steals my car? Like, I would be devastated. So I picked this area, and it was actually a really nice area when I moved in, which was back in 2014, because I'm fucking ancient. So I wanted to do all of that, and I chose this place. Like, it's almost 800 square feet, and it's like 780 square foot apartment. My own washer and dryer in unit, lots of storage space, plenty of open space. One of my big things is just learning from friends' mistakes. I've had a couple friends who moved into places, and like their buildings shared water heaters, so like they didn't always get hot water for showers. And I was the one at the family that I was like, I'll wait till midnight to take a bath so nobody else has to compete with me for my 30-minute scalding hot shower. I was so wasteful as a child. But so yeah, I was like, there was all these things that like I had learned from my friends and like their bad apartment experiences and like their bad apartment moves, that I was like, okay, I need to move. Like, I don't want this. Oh yeah, no, you're right, I don't want that. And then this apartment complex, I also kind of found it because I was like, okay, it's within my price range. Like, I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I was making decent money, but I just didn't want to spend all my money on my house because that's just me. Like, that's part of why I'm having issues moving, because I'm like, I could afford $200 more a month. But again, mama likes shopping. I'm not spending all my money on an apartment because then I can't shop. So we came to this place, toured it. Like, I was actually dead set on another apartment that was like $300 more a month then. And I was like, I can afford it. It's really nice. It was like an upper scale apartment. It was newer. It was just great. It had like built-ins. It was a great apartment complex. But it was like, again, like $200 more. Like, this one was $875 a month when I moved in, and the other one that I had like was dead set. It was like, I don't care if it's top of my budget, like I'm gonna go for it. It was like $1,100 a month, which in 2014 was like kind of expensive, but like I was dead set on it. Like it's a nice neighborhood, it's a safe neighborhood, it's not too far from everything I like to do, which is why I chose this area. And I was like, this is where I'm gonna move. And like on a whim, I found this apartment and I was like, ooh, I want to look there. Like I'm pretty set on this one, but like something just tells me to go there. And like I always get these feelings about that kind of stuff. So like my brain was like, I don't know, this one just feels like I should go see it. And I came and saw this place, and like they brought me to this exact apartment, and I fell in love. So I got anxious. I'm sorry. You can't even see my face and I'm still nervous. So yeah, anything less than $1,500 a month. Bro, there was like no storage space. No storage space, so much carpet. The kitchens didn't have pantries. And for me, I was just like, I wasn't looking any closer to the city than I live right now. And some places I was looking like further from cities. And it's like they would be like run down, didn't have a lot of space, didn't have washer and dryer, which is so stupid. I hate when you have that filter on for washer and dryer. And they still show you places that don't have a washer and dryer, or be like washer and dryer in it. And then they'll give you a virtual tour and you're like, oh, where is it? You know? But yeah, I was saying like it just was so stupid because I was like I would be paying like $400 or $500 more a month for less space, less storage, and no washer dryer. And then that was probably a big chunk of what made me be like, fuck it, I'll probably just stay another lease, but we'll see. I moved into this place. I like looked at it. They were renovating the apartments at the time too. So like this apartment got renovated. What they did, from what I can see, like there's a beam that has this ugly ass popcorn ceiling across it. So it looks like they probably like took out a wall but left the support beam to like make the living room a little more open. And then you can tell that there were cabinets above where the bar place was that they just took out to make it more open concept. Put down the new flooring and maybe new carpet. And they said it was like all new appliances. My refrigerator when I moved in already had dings in it. When I do finally move out of this apartment, I will have been here probably about a decade. So they probably long lost my like videos from when I first moved in and like turned in my paper and all that other stuff. And I'll probably still get charged because my stove, man. I've boiled so much stuff over the years on my stove as I had to, oh goodness, learn how to cook things my mom used to cook for me. So I boiled things over on the stove, and I have, I made the mistake, learned from my mistakes. I've learned a lot of things living alone. Like my whole life, my family would put those like Clorox, like, you know, those bleach tablets in the back of your toilet. Hair, like the little stopper pulley system is rubber, but it's like a hard rubber. And if you put the bleach thing in there, it makes it soft. So my toilet stopped working, and the guy came, he replaced it, and he was like, don't put bleach in there because it breaks it down, makes it flimsy, and then it doesn't stop right. And that's why my toilet kept running and having issues. So blue tabs only, no bleach. No bleach. I use a scrubbing bubble one now. Beautiful. And then the other thing I learned is don't use Mr. Clean magic erasers on the stove, because that's how I fucked up my stove. Because I was like, okay, like something boiled over and I couldn't tell if it just needed to be scrubbed off more or what. And then ended up scrubbing off a good chunk of paint on the stovetop. So I'm not getting my deposit back. It was only like $400, but still, I'm not getting my deposit back, and I'm probably gonna get a bill. But yeah. So is there any other things I've learned living here? No, not really. I learned how to clean out a fireplace because I have a wood-burning fireplace. That's cool. I like that. I have learned things, but yeah, I don't even know how to tie into this. I kind of went on a tangent about my apartment. Like, I really like my apartment, but there's stuff that I've had to learn over the years, which is not one of those things that you get taught, especially considering, like I said, my family used to bleach ones my whole life, and nothing ever happened, and then I moved here. And all of a sudden, oh, you can't use the bleach ones. Like, what the fuck? Anyway. But, I have learned the power of, like, selecting what to overbuy and what not to. Because it took me a good few years to get out of the mindset. Because when I lived at home, I had my brother who just, you know, boy metabolism. So if I got something and I didn't like it, I could be like, oh, do you like this? And if he liked it, he'd eat it. Or I could make extra of something and like not have to watch how much I made, because like somebody in the house was going to go behind me and be like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, yeah, I made some to share. And like people would eat it, and I didn't have to be the only one to eat it. I had to relearn how to cook for just myself. Ugh. I also like have had the displeasure of watching the management of this company or this complex go down. So when I first moved here, it was one managed company and they were amazing. Like they were part of like the apartment was amazing as it was, but the management, like the people in the leasing office were so kind. Everyone was so sincere. They were so genuinely nice, pleasant to work with. The guy who toured with me, I made sure I signed my contract with him so that if he got a commission, like he got the commission because he was amazing, phenomenal. That was the whole reason I moved into this apartment complex. Like when things happened, they were responsive. Like I said, when I moved in, it was actually a gated community. Now there's a gate, but like, so I live in the corner. The exit that's like literally right outside my apartment is one of the things that makes me so happy that I don't have to leave for work anymore because I got so pissed when they first did this. So the exit that's right outside my gate, they welded it shut because we can't have nice things in Aurora. Okay, so some idiots kept drinking and driving and running their SUVs and trucks into the gate. And so they kept not fixing it and then fixing it. And then like within a month, it would be broken again. So finally they just welded it shut because they kept choosing cheaper and cheaper options. And then there's like a hole in the gate now. So people can still walk in and out from this side, but like the cars can't go through. So that's great. My dog has decided I'm talking to him. Okay. Yeah, there's a hole in the gate. There is, on the other side by where the dumpsters are, there's another hole in the gate. And there's like a trail behind the apartment complex. And so like you can get off the trail, go through some like weeds and stuff, and like pop in the hole in the apartment complex. So that's fun. Because, you know, gated community, they give you an access key. They changed all the locks and or welded the doors shut. So you cannot open it. If the gate is closed, we no longer, as residents, have access to be able to use the entry and exit gates with our keys, which is bogus. Yeah. Oh, and my favorite part. So the main gate, which is supposed to be the entry gate, and the only other exit gate that works, which is on the sheer other side of the complex from me, they just stood open all day. I live in a gated community that it would be too expensive for them to take the gate down. Is probably the only reason we still have a gate up. Let's be real. Yay. No, I hate it. It's so open. They just, yeah. So, and also part of why the gate is open is because they keep changing over their systems, but they never change it over properly. That's what finally made me get rid of my covered parking space. Like I had 2 covered parking spaces. From when I first moved in, I got 1. They put me next to a wall and I scratched my car and I was pissed because like I said, my car is my child. So I bought the parking space next to it. So for over 5 years, I rented 2 parking spaces consecutively next to each other. Then this new company comes along, gives a mandate. He was like, yeah, we just think it's not fair, so we're only going to let people be able to rent 1. And I was like, I've had these 2 parking spaces since 2014. So you're going to tell me in 2019 that I no longer get my parking spaces? Do I at least get to choose which one I get? And then they were like, oh no, you'll be grandfathered in because you've had yours for so long, blah, blah, blah. Then they changed over their system in 2019 when I renewed, and I had to keep going back to the office, which at the time I was still working a full-time job and a part-time job, but the part-time job was giving me like 30 hours a week. So I didn't have time to keep going to the office to get the worked out for them to freaking put my apartment complex, or my whatchamacallit, parking spaces on my lease. 2020 rolls around for my renewal. They said in 2019 that, oh, we switched over the system. We have it. You should be good now. 2020 comes around. I renew. Out of the blue one day, somebody starts parking in one of my parking spaces. So I was trying to be kind for a couple days. And then at one point I had time off from a rare morning where I didn't have to work either job. And I took my dog out and I noticed that they were gone. So I parked in the middle. And then they took the person next to me's parking space instead. And it was a whole battle. And finally I went to the apartment complex and I was like, yo, somebody's parking in one of my parking spaces. Apparently they changed the system again. And my parking spaces, they were being billed, so I was paying for them every fucking month. But in the system, it wasn't assigned to me, so they double sold one of my parking spaces. And I was like, so what are we gonna do? Because these have been my parking spaces for 6 years now. And they were like, yeah, we'll talk to them, blah, 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 blah. Because I was just like, I don't want to be combative, but I've been paying you guys faithfully every month for the pleasure of not having to compete for parking. Because at the time I was working at a sports bar, so I would get home at 3 a.m. and nothing's more fucking frustrating, especially on a Friday, coming home from like I would leave my house at like 6 a.m. Oh no, this was before I had my dog, fortunately. So I would leave my house at 6 a.m., drive to Broomfield for my regular 9 to 5, get off, go straight to the sports bar and work until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then come home to somebody in my parking space. It was just not a fun time. So that got taken care of. They promised that that was the time. It was going to be great. You guessed it. 2021 came around and they, wait, no. I have my timeline wrong. I think it was 2018 the first time. And then 2019 is when the other person had it. And then when it came time for renewal in 2020, I, because that was after 2 years in a row of them being like, we should have fixed it this time. Apparently they switched the system again. I signed my lease. They did something in their system, and even though I signed the parking addendum, they weren't billing me for it. And I kept calling them saying, hey, I have the money in my account. I signed the fucking lease to say that these are my parking spaces. They're not added to my lease. Like, you guys are not billing me for it. Like, can you please get this fixed? Like, I don't want to have to pay you guys like $1,200 at the end of my lease because you didn't bill me for the whole time. Please fix it. Please fix it. Please fix it. Nobody ever got back to me. I kept going to the office, which again, I didn't have the time for. I was only working one job at the time, but I literally was driving from Aurora to Lakewood. I don't know. It was an hour drive to get to my apartment, to get to my work. So I'm already commuting 2 hours. There's no way on God's green earth that, but yeah, so it was like an hour drive for me to be able to get like from work to here. So like I would have to take off at like 3 o'clock. And I did that a couple times. And like the main person who could do something about it was never in the office at that time. And they'd be like, oh, sorry, we'll take a message. She'll call you, blah, blah, blah. Nobody ever fucking did that. And that was also around the time when they implemented this stupid fucking system because nobody ever answers the phone in the leasing office ever. That's my biggest complaint. If I have an issue to the point of where I'm actually calling you, I would like an answer. What's the point of having a third person system for me to leave a message with a person so that person can type a message to tell you what I want to do and I need a call back, when I could just call and get the voicemail and leave my damn message myself and not have the extra frustration of having to explain to a person who then goes, oh, sorry, I can't help you. I'm the offsite answering service. So I'm gonna leave a message and telling me like a callback. What's a good number for you? Fuck, that's useless. That's a waste of money. So I just got tired of constantly getting the runaround, and it was like 2 or 3 months before I finally was like, just tell them to take it off my lease. Like, I'll stop parking there. Like, they're not billing me. They're not doing anything. Nobody ever gets back to me. This is like the 17th call I've put in. Like, whatever. And I just stopped parking there. And I was like, well, saving. No, wait. And at that point, it was it was going to be $1,200 because it was $50 per space. Like, that's how much it went up. Like, when I first moved in, I was paying $40 for 2 spaces. So it's 20 and 20. And then it went up to 30 and 30 when this new place first took over. Then the next year it was 35 and 35. And then the year after that, it was 50 and fucking 50. So I was paying $100 a month to get the runaround for them to not fucking bill me. And I was like, whatever, like I get a free couple of months, I'll just park, whatever. And then it worked out because it was like good weather. And then when it was bad weather, I was working from home by then. So I just really didn't care. I mostly got the parking spaces because I was like, in case I wanted to like go somewhere with my friends, I like knowing I can come back to my own space. But because it was like right in the middle of like the building, if people were moving, people would just take my space and assume, oh, well, nobody's there right now. Like, it was stupid, whatever. So I gave up my spaces. I was like, I'm going to save myself the extra $100 a month and go shopping more. So that's what I did. I took it off. Nobody, still to this day, like literally, they took it off apparently because nobody's come at me. And when I did my lease renewal at the end of last year, there was no parking space addendum. So apparently they get the messages. They just really fucking suck at actually calling people back. So that's my biggest gripe, is that they're really bad about calling people back. They have like online things like the resident portal where you can like, if there's an emergency, you can put it in, but it's also just really inconvenient sometimes. I just tend to, like, unless it's really important, I just tend to try and find a way to fix it myself, TBH lately. So, like, I need to figure out what the process will be because they just repaint your tub, and there's like a hole between like one of my tiles because they, hole in the paint or whatever, and I was like, well, I don't want that to mold. So it's like it has a little like slit, and then there's like a pocket, and I just am really careful with not getting water in. But like that it's peeling around the drain, and it It's discolored. It just like these apartments were very shoddily redone. And on top of it, they keep doing like apartment balcony like inspections, which you would think it would be for them to see what needs to be fixed and actually put a plan in place to fucking fix it. But no, they just want to make sure you don't have any like outside furniture, or sorry, inside furniture outside, or that you're not like hanging your laundry up to dry. Fuck the fact that my big support beam and like the little top beam for my banister is like this in one corner. There's like this much space, and then it just like kind of goes back up and then meets again. Like, who cares about that? Who cares about the fact that there's like pockets on the bottom of the ceiling from the above apartment, like getting water when it rains a lot, and then it just pockets and stays like that. Like, who cares about any of that, right? Like, just don't have a couch outside. Who cares about the property structure? So it's like I have this 10 by 10 patio. I have literally an air conditioning from the 80s. Like, it's that ugly like army green color. It's so loud when I turn it on, so I just tried not to turn it on as much as possible. There's structural things. When I first moved in, most of my screens do not fit the windows. So I like, unless I really just want bugs flying in and out, which I can't because there's trees all around my apartment, which is great. I love it in the corner, but I can't enjoy that from like, there's to this side of me, there's like a really long window that has like 3 smaller window panes that each have a thing that can come up. But the screens don't fit. So I was getting bees inside, flies inside, gnats inside, like spiders would just crawl in because there's holes between, like, it'll be like, this is the window pane, and like this is the, hold on, this is the window pane, and like this is the screen. So like there's plenty of place for little buggies to come in, and I'd be like, hey, like, is there any way you can get like a new screen fixed? Oh, it's fine. And like nobody ever did anything, and I got tired of asking about that stuff, so I just can't open my windows. There's paint on the windows from when they painted the outside of the building to make it this ugly brown color that it is now. So there's like paint on the actual physical glass, but it's outside and I'm not on the main floor, so I can't clean my windows on the outside. It's just that kind of stuff. There's perks. I do like the fireplace. I do like that it's a wood burning fireplace. I do need to get some like more wood because it's just nice to just turn on the fireplace and just chill. I think this year I want to like mount my TV above my fireplace instead of the picture that I have right now. And then maybe get rid, I don't know, I keep going back and forth. Part of me wants to get rid of my dining room table, and part of me wants to keep it because I really like it, and just like reupholster it and actually get screws and put it together and make it look pretty. We'll see what I end up doing. But like, it just, I like this apartment, but like just the physical apartment that I live in. And I think that's also part of why I don't feel guilty about the fact that my dog is not on my lease. I don't give a fuck. I am looking into options. Yeah, I might talk to my therapist and be like, hey, can I just get him as my support animal, please? Because I'm stressed as it is, and he brings me serotonin, and I need all the serotonin I could get. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's my little rant for the day about just apartments. Like, I want to like blast them, but now that I've decided that I want to stay here for another 2 years, I really don't necessarily want to blast them. But I do know that I now look to see who owns the apartment complex, because if it's owned by this company, I refuse to live there. These were really nice apartments, and then they took over it, and then it's just, yeah. And then also there was another one that I had considered moving into that was not owned by them when I was considering moving to it again. They were really nice. Like, they had really good reviews and all this stuff. So I was like, oh, I want to see this. But like when I went past it, like just to see like where the area was, it was so awkward to get in and out, even though it was super close to the highway. That would have made commutes great in the morning, but it was just so awkward to get in and out of that I was like, I don't necessarily know if I want to deal with that drama, especially because I was like working in Broomfield at the time. I was like, I don't want to have to deal with all that. So I didn't end up moving there. But now this leasing company also owns those apartments, and like the recent reviews are like, don't move here, there's rats, don't move here, there's cockroaches, there's bed bugs. I don't do any of that. I don't do bugs in general. It's bad enough that I have lots of stop-bearing trees. So if I leave apples out in the summertime, I get fruit flies, and then that draws in spiders. That's more than, wait. And because it was super moist last summer, I also started getting those like earwig things. I hate those. They creep me the frick out. Comment down below if they freak you out too. I have been traumatized by earwigs since I was a child because my childhood home, we always got so many of them in the entry hall, which was at the bottom of the stairs from upstairs. So it's like, not like I could avoid them. And at one point, a couple of them like dropped on me, and I've just been freaked out ever since. I don't do them. I hate them. If I see them, I don't care. There is no remove and rescue. They die. They die in this house. Whereas like spiders, like if you're a small guy, I'm just gonna be like, just stay out of my way to leave spider webs. And like fruit flies, I just try to not leave fruit out so that they can't come. So yeah, and I refuse to live with a roommate. I think that's the one decision that I definitely am glad that I made. Because when I was in high school, I was very much the kind of person with like me and my best friend, we were like, yeah, we'll live together and we'll stay together and we can watch anime all the time. And that didn't happen. And I'm really happy that it didn't happen because I was like, when I was first moving out, I was looking for things that were in a price range that I could comfortably afford. And not could, but like wanted to comfortably afford. Because like I said, I could have afforded a lot more when I first moved out, and especially after I got the second job, but I just didn't want to. So I didn't. So yeah, that was what I wanted when I moved out, and I am really happy that I did that because, dude, I don't think I could do it with a roommate. Like, you hear so many horror stories about crazy roommates. Like, I'm toxic. I like watching horror stories about roommates that are awful, and I'm like, that just reminds me of like, yeah. But then I also was like, it was my first time not living at home, and I was just like, no, like if. Like, what's the point of me moving from, like, because it was kind of like a roommate situation at home. Like, I paid rent, helped pay the utilities, helped pitch in for groceries, paid my own cell phone bill. Like, there were bills that I paid. I wasn't just living at home scot-free. So it was almost like a roommate situation as it was. And I was like, well, if I'm not going to be living at home, like, I don't want to live with other people. I want to know what it's like to live by myself. And I love it. It's great. It's making me wanting to date really hard, though, because I'm like, I have my vices and I just stay in my house by myself. And then comes to like, oh, but I want to date. Oh, but then I have to share my space. Well, we can share bills, but I have to share my space. Like, you know, that's my bitching hour of the day. Leasing offices need to get their life together. Granted, it's better than some that I've heard. Like, I had a friend who lived in a place, and a lot of the times people would come with complaints and they just basically tell them, like, deal with it yourself. Same friend in a different complex that they lived in, they changed the rules and made it so that you had to park in certain spaces. And then there was, like, specifically only certain spaces that guests could park at, but they were at the very back of the apartment complex, no lights, right next to a busy highway. And the kicker of it all, I parked in the right space and these heifers still towed my car one day. So, like, leasing offices ain't shit. Like, at least not in the affordable complexes. Like, I guess it's like the trade-off. It's like, do you want an affordable place with shitty leasing office, or do you want to like have to work 4 jobs but also get a good leasing experience because you don't have to deal with the BS? If it came down to a good leasing office, good leasing company, and that was the other thing that really made me mad, because like, these apartment complexes had people in them at the time I moved in that had been living here for 20 years that really loved it. People that used to live below me were some of the examples of it. And as the leasing office went to shit, so many of them moved out. But yeah, like, I watched people who had been living here for like 20 years move out, and then it's just one of those things where it's like, now it's a complex where it's like, unless you can stay to yourself, like, I guess I'll stay to myself because I don't want to have to deal with them. I just can't. Like, it's so stupid. But yeah, let me know down below if you have any leasing office horror stories. Share. I can't be the only person who lives in a complex where they don't call you back. Please tell me I'm not the only person in Colorado who lives in an apartment complex where they don't call you back.